Hey guys, Stephen Cox here, and welcome to my mini bass ukulele course. So we're going to cover everything about this instrument to get you to understand the different parts of it, all the way to how to play your first songs and understanding the theory behind it as well. So if you like videos like these, please hit subscribe below and consider becoming a patron, where you will find a PDF of the course as well. So today is part one of the course. We're just going to be introducing you to the different parts of the bass ukulele. And now let's talk about all these individual parts. So first, we have this giant piece right here. This piece that has curves right here on some, and it looks a little bit different sometimes. But this giant piece is called the body. So that's that section. Okay, then the next big piece we have is the neck. That's everything from where the body stops all the way up to here. And so that's the neck. And then above the neck, you've probably guessed it now, this looks kind of like a head. If you think about that being the body and the neck, this is the head stock. So we've got the body, that big part, the neck, this big part, and the headstock. Now we've got a whole bunch of smaller parts on each of these bigger parts. So first, this dark piece down here is called the bridge. So that piece of wood that's rather large down there, that's the bridge. On the bridge and underneath the strings, which we'll get to in a second, is the saddle. So on mine it's this cream-colored piece of some sort of plastic composite material that holds the strings up. So that's called the saddle. Then, of course, we have the strings. We have 4 strings: the E string, the A string, the D string, and the G string, from thickest to thinnest. So those are the strings. Up here we have the sound hole. So the body is hollow, which allows sound to kind of echo in there and project out of the sound hole. So this round part's called the sound hole. So that's everything on the body that we need to know on the front of the body. Now let's move on to the neck. On the neck, we have this darker piece of wood that's really thin on top. I'm not sure if you can see that very well, but there's a darker piece on top, whereas the back is lighter. That darker piece is called the fretboard, if you have frets on the instrument, or it's called the fingerboard if your instrument is fretless. What are frets? Frets are these little pieces of metal that you see going vertically down here. So those are frets, and we have 16 of them. They're just shoom, 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 all the way up. And basically that's how we change the pitch of the notes. I'll demonstrate it real quick. If I push down just behind a fret and pluck the string, they'll get higher pitched as we go up. So that's what frets are for. And then now we've got the frets and the fretboard, we can go over here. This is called the nut. This little piece of either bone or plastic that goes across the neck right at the end, and it's the thing that kind of separates the neck from the headstock. So that's the nut, and the strings just kind of like drape over it. Okay, so now we know the nut. We've got the tuners up here. So these have the tuning pegs, and then all of this together are the tuners. And basically we use the tuners to change the pitch of the strings and just to adjust it before we play. We don't usually use the tuners while we're playing. So sometimes people will use the tuners that way, but it's a very advanced technique that requires you to have a good ear. This is an electronic instrument. It's an acoustic electric instrument. So we are able to plug it in, and we're able to use the electronics on the instrument to change different things about it. So these are the electronics. We have 3 knobs, treble, middle, and bass, that allow us to change if we have like a warm sound or a bright sound on the instrument. Then we have this little volume slider to change the volume. And then we have a built-in tuner here. If you push this button, that little screen comes on. And so that's an electronic tuner that lets you know if the strings are in tune or out of tune. Then on this side, we have a jack. This is an output jack to basically plug the instrument in. And then we have a battery compartment next to there. And then the last thing we have on the back, we have this plate. It's either held on by screws or a magnet. And basically what that plate does is it gives you access to change the strings or to fix anything about the electronics. So that's just a good way to get inside the instrument to fix those things. So now that we know all the different parts of the U-bass, let's go through it and see how you do. We're going to do a quick quiz. So what is this large part called? All right, I'm going to tell you right now, so pause the video if you're not ready. That's the body of the instrument. What is this part right here between my hands? The whole thing, right? Not just the top surface, but the whole thing. That's the neck. Then up here, do you remember what this is called? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's called the headstock. Okay? Then now let's talk about the individual parts on here. What is this one? This big, darker piece of wood. Yep, that one's the bridge. Then this cream-colored thing on top of the bridge. Yep, that's the saddle. Then what are these things that are draped across the saddle? You got it, those are the strings, E, A, D, and G. What is this circular thing right here? Yep, that's the sound hole. All right, so on the neck we have this darker piece of wood. Do you remember what the darker piece of wood on top of the neck is called? Yep, that's the fretboard. All right, then what about these little pieces of metal on here? Kind of gave you a hint on that last one. Those are the frets. What about this piece right here? Going across here. Okay, that's the nut. Then on the headstock, we've already gone over the headstock. What are these things called? You've got it, those are tuners. So now that we know all the different parts of the instrument, I left out the electronics and the backplate, but the most important to playing are the ones I mentioned. Now that we know the different parts, let's get into playing the bass ukulele. So the next lesson is going to be on how to hold the bass ukulele. Thank you for watching this video, and once again, please become a patron if you'd like the PDF version of this course.